You have never seen any player in the entire country play as hard as I will play the rest of the season, and you never see someone push the rest of the team as hard as I will push everybody the rest of the season, and you never see a team play harder than we will the rest of this season. God bless.
Tim Tebow lived up to his promise. That season, he led the Florida Gators to a national championship victory, making it his second in 3 seasons, and narrowly missed out on winning a second Heisman. With how well it worked out, it's easy to forget that there was a very real chance for Tebow to pass on the blue and orange for a little bit of crimson. Before picking where he would play college football, Tim Tebow had already crafted quite a legacy. He won a state title, was named Florida's Mr. Football. He even put the team on his back when he scored a 29-yard touchdown on a broken fibula that was believed to just be a bad cramp. He was already the type of player we'd come to know, which meant he was on the radar for just a few college teams. While Tebow was doing godly things his senior year on the football field, Urban Meyer was wrapping up his first season as head coach of the Florida Gators. The 2005 season saw improvements in Gainesville, but Meyer was missing a quarterback for the future. The Gators weren't the only team in the SEC hoping Tebow would help change their fate. Up at Alabama, the Crimson Tide were attempting to emerge from one of the uglier holes in their history. They had gone through 3 coaches in 2 years, all with their share of controversy, before bringing in former Alabama quarterback Mike Shula. Following a shaky start to his coaching career, in Shula's 3rd season as head coach, the Tide finished with a 10-2 record. Hoping to build on 2005, Shula knew he needed a quarterback better than MTV's Two-A-Days star John Parker Wilson, and set his sights on Timothy Richard Tebow. On December 13, 2005, he committed to Florida, much to the displeasure of Tuscaloosa residents, and directly impacted 4 of the next 5 BCS championships. His choice of school also could have kept Alabama from becoming the juggernaut that it is today. All he had to do was commit there instead. Now, that's not a knock against Tebow. In college, he was an absolute unit. It's just, if he had gone to Alabama, they would have had too much success for their own good. The 2006 season saw Alabama take a step back under Shula. They finished the regular season 6-6 before losing to Oklahoma State in the Independence Bowl. Shula was out before the bowl game, and the next day, Alabama hired some guy from Miami. The thing is, of their 6 regular season losses, Alabama wasted trips to the red zone every time, all while Tebow was doing the exact opposite in Gainesville. The true freshman was a key fixture in Florida's short yardage and red zone packages, finishing the season with solid stat lines that helped propel Florida to be the 3rd best team by red zone S&P Plus ranking. Meanwhile, Bama was 89th in the nation. If Tebow had gone to Alabama, he wouldn't have made the difference in every game, but he easily could have swung a handful of those losses. Against Arkansas, of their 5 drives that made it inside the 20, Alabama scored 2 touchdowns and settled for 3 field goals, which were all misses, eventually losing by 1 point in overtime. Against Tennessee, they had to settle for field goals from the 7 and 1 yard line, then lost by 3. Against Mississippi State, they reached the 1, 2, 8, and 14 yard lines and got a combined 9 points out of those trips. John Parker Wilson was even stuffed on a goal line QB sneak. They suffered similar fates against Florida, LSU, and Auburn, but with Tebow's proficiency in the red zone, let's conservatively say they split those games. That puts Alabama at 9-3, and likely still in the Independence Bowl, where once again, Tebow could help them get past Oklahoma State. I'm not reading this line.
It's in the script.
I'm not gonna read it.
Will, read the line.
This line's corny as hell. It's safe to say Tim Tebow would have turned the tide. Idiot. So, good news, Alabama. 2006 would have been a 3-loss regular season. The bad news? That likely would have meant Shula stayed on as head coach and no Nick Saban coming to the rescue in 2007. With no Saban, that means no championships in 2009, 2011, 2012, 2000, and you get it. Oh, and that's also 4 more victories that would need to be vacated for players receiving free textbooks. On the bright side for Bama fans, with Tebow away from Florida, there's no championship for the Gators that year, or more importantly, for Auburn in 2010. Why? The Gators recruited Cam Newton in 2007, and despite a liberal understanding of what it means to borrow a laptop, he stuck around long enough to beat out John Brantley for backup duties. If Tebow's not there, then that would have been for the role of starter, which means playing time, which means no reason to head to Auburn by way of Blinn. This probably means Florida gets at least one of those championships back. And who knows, maybe Urban Meyer doesn't miss Tim Tebow so much that his chest hurts and he flees to Ohio State. Either way, the SEC gets a completely different outlook. And outside of that, there's one surprise winner. The USC Trojans. Coming off a heart-wrenching loss to Texas in the Rose Bowl, the 2006 season and beyond would have looked a bit better with their new weapon, Percy Harvin. Harvin told rivals that he picked Florida because of Tebow, but without that option, would have settled with the Trojans. In the 4 previous seasons, USC had fielded a top 10 offense by points per game, before a slight drop-off as they adjusted to life after Bush and Leinart. Considering Harvin was a highlight reel from day one of his freshman year, contributing on the ground, in the air, and on returns, he would have come in at the perfect time for Pete Carroll's offense to keep clicking, and might have helped Mark Sanchez get drafted even higher than just 5th overall. Tim Tebow enjoyed a tremendous career at Florida, peaked way too early, and unintentionally allowed the Crimson Tide to set up shop for years to come. Just by committing to Florida, he changed the SEC. And once he was on the field, his dominant play further altered college football. And when you're great on the field, it allows you to create greatness anywhere. Thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you don't, just take it up with President of College Football, Bill Connolly, because without him, there wouldn't be an episode. Subscribe to SB Nation, comment down below, and we'll see you soon.